risky behaviors, online predators, and cyberbullying. Along with unrealistic beauty standards, peer pressure, and the fear of missing out impact their mental and emotional well-being. In conversation with Dr. Aakanksha Bhatia, founder of MannRaah Teen Mental Health Platform, she helps in empowering students and the ecosystem around them to acknowledge, focus, and care for their everyday mental health needs. Lieutenant Colonel Rohit Mishra, founder and director of Mission Fight Back. The Mission Fight Back program follows a holistic approach combining psychological awareness with physical training that equips young girls with the ability to identify and deal with any form of an inappropriate sexual advance against them. Meeta Gutgutia, founder of Women Listed, co-founder FNP and Sipping Thoughts. She created Women Listed with a single mission in mind, providing women professionals with a specialized platform that plans, helps, and makes it possible for women-owned businesses to grow and succeed. Handing over the session to Ms. Meeta Gutgutia. Thank you.
Thank you, Payal. Welcome, Dr. Aakanksha. Welcome, Rohit, Colonel Rohit. Like we have been doing many conversations, many programs we have done together. So basically, why I thought both of you, because Rohit, you have been working in the space of training women, training girls for their personal safety and Mission Fight Back. And you have worked with, I think, numbers you will only speak up about yourself. And Dr. Aakanksha for the mindset. So one is the training, what we are doing, and one is the mindset that what happening is how do we kind of just get answers to it. And why this conversation started is recently we all know about this murder case, what happened in Rohini in Delhi. It was the kind of brutal murder, and these kind of a crime has been happening again regularly. The first response is that why this kind of a crime is happening, and secondly, when in the video which was kind of being live streamed, and but there are people walking by, they're so calm and normal, and they're not even responding to it. So, and third is the safety of our youth, like the live-in relationship, being in affair, dating online, digital. So you really don't know what should be done. So on that note, welcome both of you. So yeah, will you speak about yourself? Because
firstly, thank you so much for, it's always a pleasure to be on Sipping Thoughts, always a pleasure to meet and interact with you, and these days virtually. So thank you so much. Mission Fight Back has generally been, it's been about 5 years now. And in these 5 years, we've trained about 12,500 girls in the art of street survival, not self-defense, in the art of street survival. And another news that I'd like to share is that Mission Fight Back is now training the Indian Army in unarmed combat after what happened in Galwan. So just goes on to say that it's not just the girls, it's the army also that needs, to fight without arms. And what is it that we're teaching the Indian Army right now? Same things which we teach the girls. If somebody has a knife, how do you take that knife away from the person in less than 3 seconds? If somebody's got a pistol pointed at you, how do you protect yourself? If somebody comes on you with a danda, stake, or a baton, how do you protect yourself? So it's not just girls who needs this kind of protection. Even the Indian Army has now realized that it's not only fire at each other, and that's the end of the story. What happened in Galwan with the Chinese is a different ball game altogether. So, street survival is something which every parent needs to teach, and that is exactly what Mission Fight Back has been doing for the last 5 years, less the period that, thanks to the Chinese, again, we had COVID.
Thank you. So I know I've been witnessing, and I'm with you in this journey. I know that from where it started, and I have a huge respect for the cause, the way you have dedicated your life for it. And you, after Nirbaya's case, when your daughter said, then you started. So when you see this kind of, I'll come back to it. Let Dr. Aakanksha speak about herself.
Hello, everyone. So my journey, I would say, has been from an academician to a social entrepreneur. I was, before this, working as a professor of psychology in Delhi University, and I'm also a trained teacher from Delhi University. I've done my B.Ed as well, and my PhD is also, that has been with adolescents and younger children. So the whole experience of working with children and adolescents, I realized that there is a lack of safe spaces for them. They don't know where to express themselves. At times, they don't even know what is right or wrong. They don't have a very important aspect in their lives, which is trusted adult. And while I was teaching specifically in Delhi University, I realized that there are many girls, if not, I mean, boys, I'm not really saying as such because it was just one college which was co-ed. Mostly that I have been in girls' colleges. But yes, even in that college, I think even for boys equally, I can speak so, that they really felt a lack, they really felt a disconnect. And it's very unfortunate that they felt a disconnect with their family members. They could not speak to the family members. They were only and only under the influence of the peers, and peers are also the same age. So the maturity level, you can't really expect to be very high or even relatively higher as compared to what they had. So all those experiences and the feeling that there are not enough safe spaces, I left my job at Delhi University and I started MannRaah, which means the journey to your mind. And I think the most important journey that anyone should take or travel is a journey towards their own mind. It's the inner journey rather than the outer journey. I would say that would matter at the end of the day. So that's how MannRaah came into being. We have been working with a lot of organizations. Currently, we are working with DLF Foundation, where we are looking at more than 700 students from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, and we are providing them with mental health sessions as well as life skill sessions. So it's our small effort to kind of create awareness about mental health, and not just that, but to also give them life skills to be able to lead a happy and purposeful life.
Thank you, Dr. Aakanksha. So now you know that why you both are here. One is giving a physical training and one is giving a emotional or mental training. Now, Colonel Rohit, you started with Nirbhaya. That was again the most brutal crime that happened. And when this crime happened, or recently there was another one where they had a live-in relationship and he butchered the girl and kept it in the fridge and disposing body like that. The biggest fear that comes to mind is like both the cases, they were in a relationship. One was in rural and one was urban. And how unsafe I feel that, how do you keep them safe? Because this is the most intimate situation where you are living with a partner. So what is your response, Colonel Rohit?
See, I think my response to this is, I think the social dynamics are changing in our country. We are no more and I'm not just talking about the urban areas. This is the same that goes for rural. Women have started coming out of the closet. They are more vocal about their needs and everything, including physical needs and emotional needs and everything else, financial as well. That said, so I guess it will take time. It's easier said than done, but I think there is a need for parents to understand that the dynamics are changing. Now, in this case where the girl was chopped off and kept in the fridge, she and her father, if you remember, had not had a conversation for, I think, nearly 2 years, because the father was so angry with her that he just let go. And now when he lost his baby girl is the time when he regretted. He said, no, I should have spoken to her. And be just a live-in relationship, or most of the cases that we've dealt with, we actually found out the most of the time the problem actually happened when parents stopped talking to the kids. When there was a miscommunication. The perpetrator always thrives and lives on the borderlines of this miscommunication.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So what actually happens is, when he knows, okay, there is a girl not talking to her, this thing, so even if she goes missing, nobody is going to be asking about her for the next 1 week, 10 days. That gives them enough time to, having watched so many serials on the Netflix and Doordarshan, to whatever channels they be now. These guys are just gathering ideas, and it's not that one fine day he just gets up and he does it. This is, Doctor will be able to tell us better. This is a psychological problem. This man who was in a live-in relationship with this girl was also in a relationship with other women. He was on Tinder, he was on other dating apps. So it's not that he was true to the woman that he was with. Now, as far as live-in relationship is concerned, like I said, the dynamic needs to change. If there is a couple who's in a live-in relationship, the first thing as a society is we look down upon them. I might not want to interact with them because ho sakta hai mere bacche kharab ho jaye. Right? Who does she go and talk to? Her parents are not talking to her. As a society, we are looking down upon this thing. We would be doing 10 things at our own house, including wife beating, but no, live in relationship. It's a no-go. I'm not even calling her for a party. So who do these people talk to? So I think most of the problem that happens is when there's no communication happening, no matter what happens, just don't stop the communication. You can show your anger. Don't let the communication stop. And then if you keep the communication on, you can even keep a tab uh, on the guy that the girl is with as a parent.
Absolutely.
I mean, who would know better than all about grand marriages than Meeta yourself? You have these elaborate dance sequences where, some of the best paid choreographers, they come and they teach girls how to dance for that 5-10 minutes. It goes viral and everybody dancing. Tell me, how many parents actually call a self-defense expert to say, agar meri beti ko is shaadi ke baad wo piti, to kam se kam apne ko bacha to payegi. Forget about the choreography. Choreography is just that 5-minute thing. So don't mind it. This is my own thinking.
Absolutely, I agree.
Which Indian parent actually, see, India is all about great big fat weddings. But which mother actually tells the girl? We are even talking, we are a conservative society apparently, but we still tell the girl about the first night. The mother, it's apparently the mother's job. But how many mothers actually tell the girl if something happens to you post-marriage? Right? Like there was the case with an air hostess from Panchsheel Park, who jumped down from the floor, some ex-floor. She started getting beaten right after her marriage. And every time she went back to her parents, the parents sent her back. Saying it's your life now.
So, Colonel, you won't believe I'm coming across, because maybe I'm in a space where I connect with women. I'm coming across so many women who are beaten up left, right, and center. It's very sad.
Okay, tell me something. If, see, the man always tries to put the best foot forward, so does the woman in any relationship before they get married. He might even be borrowing his roommate's shirts. That's what we used to do in college, to impress any girl. It's only later that you come to know that iske paas to sirf 3 shirts hai. So what I'm trying to say is, once you're married, you actually know what kind of person that you're married to. What's his behavior? He cannot put his best foot forward unless he's one of the best actors. So you get to know about the person. Once you start getting to know about the person, his anger issues, his drinking issues and things like that, all the more reason for a woman to start preparing herself, because you never know where the first blow comes, even if the first thappad is an accident. And like I keep saying, and I've said this in your programs before, we are all animals. The animal instinct takes over. If I hit a woman and she cannot hit me back or she cannot block herself, it gives me the power and it gives me the passport to keep hitting her again and again. If the woman gets hit the first time, the second time, if she can block herself, right? I'm not saying hit back at the husband, but if you can block yourself, you take the power away from the person. And we've seen it happen. We've actually seen it happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you have it.
Agreed. So, Dr. Aakanksha, you are listening now. Let me know from you.
Completely agree with what Colonel Rohit has been saying. I think it's a society where honor is still more important for us, and that has always been a problem. And the honor might be completely fake, completely fake. So yes, that has been a problem. And I think coming to the mindset part of it, if you want to ask me, I would say that, when you're talking about the crimes that we were initially been talking about, and people not, and the worst thing that happens is that a crime is taking place in a broad daylight, and still nobody is willing to come. And it's not just this particular case of Shabbat Dairy. It has been there has been many cases. In fact, I would really like to share one small thing from our psychology background. I mean, I would like to bring in a bit of psychology here. Do you know there's something as we call as bystander effect? If you have heard that term, right? Bystander effect means that people refuse to take responsibility when something is happening in the presence of other people. So if 20 people are standing, I would say, why should I go and help? The same happened when Nirbhaya was left to die on the streets. Nobody was willing to come and even give her a piece of cloth. right? Because everybody assumed, why should I go ahead? And what if I go ahead or kuch police ka case ban jaye or kuch ban jaye? So one restrictions we already have from that angle, although the police keeps on saying that, I think now it's been reiterated a lot that, even if you're bringing a victim, you will not be questioned so much and all of that. But still that inherent fear has been there in our country. Second thing, as I was coming back to, there was a case in 1964 in New York of a girl known as Kitty Genovese. And that has been a very, very famous case where she was a bartender and she was coming back from her duty. And around 3 a.m., she was been stabbed by a, so to say, sociopath. I might come to the idea of who is a sociopath later and what are the traits and how can we identify a person. But just to continue with what happened with her, she was stabbed twice. And there were some witnesses in the neighborhood because she started screaming. Although it was 3 a.m., they came out of the windows and saw. Nobody came to help. And she was left to die. The man ran away. Now, there was a good 10-minute time where somebody could have intervened, helped her at least towards her house. Nobody came. The man came back again. He raped her and again stabbed her 11 more times. And this time the injuries were fatal and she lost her life. So what does it tell us? And many psychologists of that time, they actually wanted to come and study why this happened. And that's how the whole idea of bystander effect came in. So what has happened in the Shahbaz Dairy case was even more shocking because it wasn't 3 a.m. It was 9 p.m. And the whole idea that why should I jump? So the mindset is that I don't want to take responsibility till it is not coming on to me. So till the time we don't assume responsibility as the citizens, I think this will not change.
I somewhere felt that I tried to look at it, that why would somebody not respond? I feel that immediate that response doesn't come to your mind. That what can I do about it? Could be like I'm just giving them benefit of doubt. Secondly, one man killing a girl, if 4 of them could gather or 2 of them could also gather together, we are stronger than the killer.
Yes.
Somewhere maybe they were thinking that he would have another gang there, which could then danger our life. So you don't know. You kind of give it a lot of theory, but it is.
What happens is that when you're faced with any threatening situation, right, biologically speaking, your sympathetic system kicks into the thing. Right. So it's a fight or flight. So why most of the people choose to do the flight response? And what you mentioned is actually the freeze response, that we are just standing, we'll see it. We'll not even run away. We'll stand there. We'll see the whole crime scene, happen in front of our eyes, but we are not going to intervene. So we'll not fight it off. So yes, our own lives, as I think Colonel Rohit also very rightly pointed out that we are all animals and there is an animal instinct within us. And a lot of psychological theories have also proven so. Some of them, at least a group of psychodynamic people will agree that yes, there has been an animal instinct within us. So yes, it could be the way that we want to safeguard ourselves first. But I really think that it's also a matter of responsibility, because no matter, even if there is an animal instinct, even if everything is, all the mechanisms are functioning, we do also know we are also conditioned in this society. So if genetics and if biology is playing 50% role, 50% has also been played by the conditioning, by the society, by the environment in which you have lived. There are also previous experiences that count. So maybe this person might have, so there is no initiative basically here. You don't feel responsible.
That you can say that everybody had gone through some experiences that they didn't respond. So let me hear from Colonel Rohit also that how do you analyze the situation? The bystander effect.
As far as bystander effect is,
I will not break the flow. I will add another question. That had you trained the girl, if the girl was trained, could she save her life?
Well, the answer to your question, which came later, is the answer is yes. Right? Any girl who's trained. See, what actually happens is, just about 2 months back, forget the girl. Let's talk about, like I said, we trained the army. We trained 75 Jawans, some of the best big Jawans from a battalion, and the 850 Jawans in a battalion. They gave me 25 each. So there were 75 Jawans. The first day of training, I said, okay, who's going to spar with me? And we had this huge unarmed combat pit, which is filled with sand. So if you fall, you're not going to get hurt. And knowing fully well that this is army training, I'm not really going to hit people. the first thing that came to their mind was they started grappling with me because that is all that they've learned back home, while playing kabaddi, doing kushti. They just did not know how to react to, my attacks. These are trained soldiers that I'm talking about. So what actually happened was the moment they saw me and the moment they knew my background that, I'm an expert in a particular field, they froze. Right? The moment, and then of course, me being an officer, they froze even further. That is exactly what happened to the girl. If a person is not trained, firstly, they just do not know how to react. If somebody is, stabbing you with a knife, what do you hold? Do you hold his hand? Do you hold yourself? Do you shout? Right. So the first thing is freeze. Forget. Now, coming back to this, so many cases have happened where, you yourself mentioned every woman has gone through some eve teasing or molestation or somebody trying to take an advantage. Mudit Jain says only a gunda can take another gunda. No, I'd love to train Mudit Jain. I'm not a gunda, right? I would love to be though, right? So, sorry, that just popped up. I had to reply to that. I would love to make every girl a gunda. My daughter's a gunda today, and she's in Pune, and I just don't fear for her safety anymore. Pune is comparatively a safer town, but it doesn't matter if you're an army officer or something like that. If you train, all the 12,000 girls that I've trained, I dare say, if somebody comes to them with a knife, they will know how to tackle him. As far as the bystanders are concerned, again, if you look at, the moment I saw the video, the first thing that I saw was there was this guy who's stabbing this girl. There's a guy who even tried to hold on to his hand, right? What people did realize that there was a car, and right next to the car there was a lot of rubble. There were a lot of stones. Anybody could have just picked up the stone and, hit this guy. But the bystanders are not going to do it. One, of course, people are scared. Two, people don't care. I've actually seen, I live in Uttarakhand and accidents keep happening here. People getting drunk, driving and things like that. And every time I see people taking selfies with the accident before they start saving. If there are 2 people saving, there'll be 20 people making videos out of it and talking about it as if their sham ka chai depends on this particular gossip for the day. So as far as this bystander thing is concerned, be it Nirbhaya, be it anything, we all knew about cleanliness, but Modi ji had to come and tell people ki Swachh Bharat rakho. We become a little cleaner as a nation after that. But what about our mental cleansing when, where you have to, back in 2011, there were 2 boys. They were Ruben Fernandez and one more boy who tried to save these girls that they had gone out with. And both of them ended up dying. They were both chopped. There were a lot of candlelight marches and things like that. But then people forget about them. It's been whatever number of years, but we've forgotten about it. So as far as bystanders are concerned, firstly, bystanders are just as clueless. They're as scared. They don't want to get into this. Now, if we look into ourselves first, if there was a person whom we do not know lying down on the street, bleeding, how many of us would stop our expensive car and put that person in a car? Let's be truthful. None of us. We can keep talking about it.
No, I agree. I like the first response that comes to my mind that, okay, if I want to get down and I would ask for support, I will not get a support from anybody to even pick another injured person to put it in my car. So it's like we all think that the other will not support. Like I'm alone.
And we also think that, not just support, we also think, okay, मेरी गाड़ी 10 मीटर आगे चली गई, कोई और उसको मदद कर ही रहेगा, वहां तो भीड़ जमा ही है, कोई ना कोई मदद कर ही देगा. So it's basically we're trying to justify to our own conscience. You see? Okay, and then later on in the day, you just hope and pray that the person that you left behind to die or was bleeding, I hope somebody's looked after this so that, your conscience is clear and you feel, acha chalo, So, unfortunately, we are all bystanders.
Absolutely.
And we all have, the day we decide that we're not just going to be bystanders and no matter how expensive the upholstery of a car, we will put a person in the car. And you see, the next thing is, when you get into a fight, the moment you get into a fight, take it from me, you will come out injured unless God's totally with you. Even when I spar, I come back home with bruises. And it's a friendly fight, even when it's with the girls or it's with the army. So people have to understand that when they stop a person with a knife, they might have a slash or two in their hand. How many of us are ready to face the danger? Like that man who, when this guy is stabbing her, and believe you me, the way he was stabbing this girl, believe you me when I tell you that it was the easiest to stop him, restrain him, and put him down in less than 5 seconds if the girl was trained.
Yeah, because he was drunk also. He was like, your senses also get numb if you kind of handle it correctly. Yeah.
It's Dutch courage, because he's come this thing because, I mean, it's like this guy who was in the MET college who shot this girl in Delhi again, just about a couple of weeks back. He came with a pistol. Now, this guy would have bought a pistol, and then he came and spoke to the girl. So the moment he would have taken out the pistol, the girl's never seen a pistol in her life, let alone a desi katta. She just doesn't know what to do. What if this girl was trained? What if this girl knew how to react? Maybe she would have come out injured, but maybe she would have saved herself. Is all I'm saying.
At least there could have been a chance to saving one's life.
Meeta, when you fight back, you secure 50% of your survival. When you don't fight back, you have 0% of survival. Which one would you prefer?
Totally, yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. Yeah. Dr. Aakanksha, again, Dr. Colonel Rohit is talking about physical defense, safety, and training physically. Obviously, mental comes with it, because once you're trained, you're stronger, you know how your responses are. But what is your take on this, that how mentally one should be agile, being always ready? So what is it that one could do it better?
I think the first, of course, has to be that you are confident that you can save yourself. So I think he was absolutely right, because while he was speaking, I was just reflecting on my times when I used to travel by metro and go. And, there has been times when I was coming home at 7:30, and half of my things, my whole concentration was behind me more than in front of me. Somebody shouldn't come. And they used to be, even then there were a lot of cases. This is like 2011, 12, and I was always scared of that. So I think that mental agility obviously would come with, first, the confidence that yes, I can take on somebody if the person is coming, and that I don't think there is anything that can replace the training. I have never been trained for self-defense, but now today I feel that my son, 4.5 years old, I've at least initiated him into something like that. There is a police station nearby to where I stay, and they are organizing these camps for even 3 to 5 year olds. And it's open for both the girls and boys. And I think it's a wonderful, wonderful initiative, because the earlier we can train them, the better it is. So along with that, I think all the trainers who are training wonderful people like Colonel Rohit, I'm sure that they are also training them psychologically as well, telling them about the fear, telling them like, that, okay, you have to face the danger. So I think mental preparation is very, very crucial, but it has to come with something that has already been done, in terms of the physicality. So no matter, Meeta, how much I tell you, Meeta, you will be safe, you can work on. Don't say there's a person coming behind you. Just, you have to be alert. Just look back and hold his hand. Can you do it? You have to actually learn. And the interesting part is that our bodies and minds are connected. So once our body starts gaining strength, and body also has its own memory. So it's not just the mind, which is functioning. So I think in this particular scenario, both of them have to work in tandem. So if the mind, and it's another thing, I'm sure, you would agree with me, if there are girls who are mentally very feeble, they may not be very good at training as well. I mean, of course, you can train them, but they might take a little longer time to be trained, because you have to first motivate them. You have to first tell them why it is important for you, right? And maybe show them lots of ways and demonstrations to be able to put at that point. A similar thing we do with younger kids, because these days there have been a lot of issues with adolescents of bullying.
Yeah. So I have some statistics where the percentage is really alarming. Yeah.
It is alarming, right? So bullying is like a physical, social, emotional threat to you. and there is always a power dynamic hierarchy. So the dynamics of the power will be such that the person who's the perpetrator will always somehow have more power, and it may not be physical power, by the way. It could be a lot of mental power as well. Some people are more mentally manipulative, more stronger, more dominating. So in that situation, specifically, I'm talking about the schools and colleges situation, we do talk a little bit about how to at least block a threat, which is a physical threat coming your way. Because what we see in the schools, that these girls or boys even are targeted, they are usually targeted when they are going alone. So places which are a little less populated, like washrooms, libraries, when the classes are going on, even playgrounds are a little less populated, or some dance room where there is no dance class happening. So they usually corner the person there, they target the person there. And that is where, and sometimes they lead to physical fights and brawls. And the worst part here is that the poor victim, they are not prepared at all.
So give me one example that how do we...
Let me. So what happens is that in this particular scenario, let's say there has been a fight, okay, and the boy has been hitting this another boy, and this boy has also pushed him. Right now, both of them have been hitting, pushing, and of course, both of them can be injured. And this is a real case, I'm telling you, and both of them end up in the principal's room. Now, it doesn't matter who started the fight. You both were involved, you both are injured, and you both are rusticated from the school. You getting my point? So the person who was actually the victim in the first place has been reprimanded in the same way as the bully has been. So what we tell them is to kind of, use this kind of, don't punch the person. You just have to block yourself. So there's another trainer along with me. So when we both go together, so she's the one who's kind of showing action. So some of them is that don't punch at least. Because if you punch, it's a normal tendency. I'm sure Colonel Rohit is there. So he will correct me. No, this is not how you do it. But something similar we teach them, at least at a very basic level, that don't punch, hold your ground, don't lean forward, or don't go too back, or don't go near a wall, because the person can block you.
That is more physical part. What do we do to strengthen their mental mindset?
Yes, I'm coming to that as well. So see, for the mental mindset, again, what we do is we tell them about different ways of protecting themselves in different aspects. So first, physical, yeah. Next, we would come to the socio-emotional part of it. Now, sometimes what happens is that the whole class is involved in something like that, right? Where the person has been a target. So here, the role of the teacher is very important. The role of the parent is very important, because no matter how much I tell the child, don't take it on your heart, oh, they are just saying it. And most of them are body image related things. So what they do is they give them certain name based on the body image that they are carrying. And that, it's just done to provoke. It's just done to incite the other person. So something like that happens. So I think first very important thing that we talk about is self-confidence with them, that you need to build up on your self-confidence. And we do a lot of such workshops with them. We do a lot of workshops on having a positive body image about yourself. We also talk a lot about aspects like self-care, and how it is important to to kind of care for yourself. And again, talking a lot on physical, mental, and emotional aspects.
I agree, Dr. Aakanksha. So
one more thing, I'm sorry to interrupt. One more thing that we really do with them is on resilience. So what is happening in today's world, we are living in a times when there is no resilience that we have. So I just say something to you and there you are, all sparked up. So can we restrain? Can we choose our battles wisely? Do we have to always respond? So that is also one thing. Yes. And I think in today's day and time, we just react to everything that is possible. And that happens कि हम इतनी चीजों में उलझ जाते हैं कि जो important चीजें हैं, those fights we never even go on to fight. Right?
Absolutely. So my question to Colonel Rohit is, when we are talking about physical training and mental training, when you are training so many individuals about physical safety and defense, how do you train mentally? Or do you?
No. As you're aware, Mission Fight Back actually started off as a street survival program. And that is the time when we realized, as Dr. Saab just said, there's no point me training girls in the art or whatever we teach them first if they're not mentally tough. And everybody has some issues, psychological issues or the other. That's what we found. So that is the reason why we started incorporating psychometric analysis tests to all the girls. So we were not just looking for sexual harassment, we were looking for any kind of a trigger. in the child's personality, body shaming issues, self-confidence, self-esteem, and such like things. So we have certain parameters where while the training is on, we are also testing them on these parameters. And then what we do is we have an open for all session in the school for those 14 days that we're training kids in the school, where we just tell them, okay, this is a voluntary thing. Anybody who wants to come and talk to us can come and talk to us. You'll be surprised that 100% of the kids that want to come and talk to us, because kids have the inherent nature to want to talk to somebody about their problem. And if the somebody just happens to be a nobody who's just going to listen to them and just going to vanish, they find it easier because then they're not getting judged. And as far as mission feedback is concerned, we are a 14-day course. After 14 days, you don't get to see us till the time you call us next again. So what we realized was surprising, but yeah, 90% of the kids had some psychological issue or the other. And then what we decided, because we also have a fantastic team of psychologists in Mission Feedback, we went about solving these psychological issues for them. Like the body shaming is what, as per my understanding, is body shaming actually does not start from the peer group. It starts from your own self. When you see a Karishma Kapoor with an hourglass figure and you see yourself and you start, getting a complex. And then when somebody says something to that, your own complex is further reiterated. So it's actually starting at home. And I've seen all their own daughters' fatsos and things like that. Right? So this is what happens when you're not talking to your kids, or, as far as these kids are concerned, something or the other would be there. My father said this thing, they feel bad. And these days, the kids are more sensitive than what you and me were. My teacher could give me one tight one and I'd never even have the guts to come back home. Today, I think the parents are going to pick up a few candles and have a candlelight march in front of the school. So, like I said, the social dynamics are changing, but are they changing for the positive or for the negative? Is what we need to see. We're giving everything to our kids. They have access to the telephones. They have access to so many screens. What they're watching, what they're not watching is not what is in our control. You think that is not, there was this, show on Netflix. It's a Spanish show. I think it was called The Elite.
Yeah.
And then there's some Indian who tried to make something called The Class. He should have actually called it Crass. Because it was that bad.
Yeah, it was giving a very wrong image of schools.
It's wrong image of who children are. You think children are not trying to imitate these things? Right? We are the same nation where children try to imitate Shaktiman by jumping out the building thinking some Shaktiman is going to come and save them. How do you expect this generation not to be imitating things that are foreign to them? Right? So social media, again, Mission Feedback started. We realized when we're talking about bullying, whatever Dr. Saab said about bullying is bang on. So what does the meek do? If somebody's bullying me, in probably 10, 15, 20 years back, the meek would have, taken the beating or gone and reported. Today, what we've seen, the meek takes to social media. So if they get bullied physically, they form fake Instagram account and this and that, and they make memes. They more photographs. I have seen so many kids who are bullies being demolished by social media. I've seen girls do girls.
Yeah, so Aakanksha was talking about on-ground crime, and I'm talking more about, I wanted to address to digital crime also, because the access to it's no more, like how you were saying, Mr. Colonel Rohit, that it's no more the physical fight, it's a more deep-rooted, and not even one could figure out that what is the connection, where is it coming from, who are you connected with, who are you dating? It's a crazy world now.
Now, I'll tell you, something happened in Dehradun. There were two girls, very young girls, 7th standard. And one of the girls got a cigarette from her father. She must have stolen it. And they were having the cigarette. They were not lighting it. They were just keeping it in the mouth. And one of the girls took a photograph of the cigarette. And she just, for the fun sake of it, put it on Insta. The moment she put it on Insta, everybody saw it. In the entire colony, people saw it. So obviously she went and reported to her mother. She says she put my... And they were best friends. And the family had known each other for 9 or 10 years. Now the mother calls up the father of the other girl and she says, hey, your daughter's done this thing and that's not right. And they have a fight and the families decide not to talk to each other ever again. I mean, that's the kind of maturity levels we have now as parents. Now, what happens is for 6 months, nothing happens. After 6 months, the girl who had taken the photograph and who was yelled at by both families makes a fake Instagram account of a boy whom this other girl liked. And this is last year. So she makes a face. So this girl suddenly gets, a request from this boy. She doesn't even check. Kaun sa hai, kaun nahi, kaun sahi, kaun galat, and all that. She says yes. And Meeta, by in the next 3 hours, she shared 4 nude photographs of her with the boy. Now this girl who's got nudes, suddenly there are 3 or 4 more fake this thing comes up, and this gets distributed and to the entire school. These are 2 7th standard girls, mind you. It took us with the police, cyber police of Uttarakhand, more than 10 days. Because, again, you might not believe it, this girl was using a VPN, IP protocol. So we could not trace her. It would show UK, it would show Dubai, it would show Emirates, it would show Australia, it would show the Andromeda galaxy.
How do you do that? It's like...
I have no clue how you do it, but these kids know. Believe you me, I can run a WhatsApp and I should get a medal for it. But these kids, they're crazily good on this. Finally, we did find this girl. We caught her and she was sent to the juvenile for some day. Then, of course, both the parents decided now we had to pull her out because she would also be under this thing. You know what this girl tells the judge? She says, this is just the beginning. I'm not done yet. And she says that in Hindi. And these 2 are from one of the best families here. These are the kind of cases that are happening. I mean, I can sit here and speak for the next 4 or 5 hours. Why do you think we added? Like I said, the mission fightback was always an evolving process. Nobody actually had it in mind. Raj or me didn't really think, okay, hum ye karenge. Something like this happened. We said, okay, let's put cyber security in it. Now we are waiting for something new to happen because we'll have to incorporate something else. That's how the psychometric came in. That's how the cyber came in. That's how the app came in. So kids these days, and then, okay, I've been parent bashing for quite some time. One of the things which we also need to see is, you see, if my father told me something, I would listen. If my mom just showed me her eyes, if she just glared at me, I would just whimper and sit on the side. I think most of us used to do that. We're still scared of our parents. Today, these kids are so rebellious. They're getting everything. Yet, they're so rebellious. They're wanting to imitate the West. Good enough. They can. There's nothing wrong in imitating the West. But for what? Today, the kids are becoming rebellious. They just have to experiment. I mean, those 2 girls getting the cigarette was they were trying to experiment. Now, when you are trying to experiment, how you end up doing it? There's been another case where we actually went to the police station because 3 girls had got drunk and one of them nearly fell down from a penthouse. Till one of the guard came and, yanked her back. And it was a birthday. So there was a birthday party where the parents just gave these girls the money and they said, go party. They never bothered to see where exactly they're going because they said, we'll go to so-and-so restaurant. They never went there. They picked up some boys, known to them, of course. They send them to the take-up. They pick up a bottle of Red Label. They go to a top of a pahadi. They're getting drunk. And of course, they're having weed as well. And these are 10 standard kids just a couple of months back. Right? They get so drunk in less than 2 hours, they cannot handle the drinks. The boys run away. The girls are saved somehow. Now, they call me. We go there. I call up the DGP. He says every possible help would be given. The very next day, the father of the girl, whose birthday it was, is very, very vehement. He says, I will go to the police station. So we go to the police station. Just as luck would have it, we open up the girl's phone. While the father is writing the FIR, we open up the girl's phone and we see not one, hundreds of news with the guy that we were writing the report against. This is 10 standard. And this is Dehradun I'm talking about. What do you think is happening in the metros? We are still 2 light years behind the metros. So today, we can keep yelling at the kids, but ultimately, it again boiled down to the same thing. How come the parents did not know where the kids are going? If the kids, if my mom was to throw a party for me, she would know each and every child's parents. किसके घर पार्टी है, कहाँ जा रहे हैं, कितने बजे जाएंगे, कितने बजे आएंगे, Mrs. Gutgutia, can you please make sure that my child eats? Right? These things are not happening anymore. We've given them money, now it's their headache. As long as they're not yelling on my head and I'm working, they can have the screen time. What they're watching, not my headache. When there's a problem, then we jump up and say, hey, there's been a problem. I mean, kids having weed. There is weed available everywhere. And it's the most sasta thing to have. And you don't even get caught. Wears off in a couple of hours, I believe. And then there you have it. Parents don't even get to know.
So I know me and Dr. Aakanksha, we both are listening, because the kind of experiences, the kind of information what you're sharing is like, we know the truth. We always think that we hear it somewhere else, but hearing here in this session from you is like you feel that it is right there in our homes. It is happening.
Let me also fill in here, Meeta. There is this American family. So when this girl she nearly fell off, and the guard caught her just on time. She wasn't planning to jump off. She was just on the ledge. She could have fallen down. So the guard caught her, pulled her back, and then she was brought out. She was sitting by the elevator. She was puking. I mean, she had puke all over her dress. Indian bystanders. They're all from the same society of 2,000 houses. Nobody had the girl. It was an American family where there was a lady who came out, and they had just put this girl, on her back, and she was lying. And this lady came running and she said, "Hey, you're not supposed to put her like this. Lift her up because she might choke on her own puke." There were people making videos. There were 2 or 3 people who had already become judges and talking to each other about how the society is degenerating and the moral values, and also, all the Baba Ramdev's stuff was already happening there. Nobody wanted to help the kids because the dress would have got spoiled. Nobody wanted to take the responsibility. But yes, everybody wanted to know who the parents were. Fuel for gossip in the evening. So it was an American family that came and helped this girl. So while we might trying to be imitating them, right? And I'm not saying, this. And with me was only this boy, Wilson, who kept running around trying to find out who the girl's parents were. And the parents were very educated. These are kids from good families. These are kids who have access to everything. I mean, the parents, so when later on, of course, all parents got together, and I said, "Do you know her? Do you know her? No. Do you know him? No." The parents did not know each other. The parents did not know कि हमारे बच्चे किनके साथ जाके party कर रहे हैं. The boys were from, from the same school, but nobody knew who the boys were. Nobody wanted to find out. As long as they went, they party, they came back and everything's fine. It's the ostrich syndrome. So this is the reason why most of these problems are taking place. Then, of course, we're trying to give it the love jihad color and stuff like that. It's happening everywhere. I mean, if there are 2 Muslim boys doing it, I'm sure there are 1 or 3 Hindu boys doing it, or a Christian boy doing it as well.
We are just tip of the iceberg. It's been 1 hour, almost 1 hour, and I really feel that we have not even it's just like kind of listening to what the problems are. We don't even know what the solution is. Where do you start from? Dr. Aakanksha, you want to add something? I know that I am not looking at the questions here. I am not looking at the responses here. Do you want to add anything here?
Yes, definitely. I think very rightly put up, and so many experiences that he has shared. And I think most of the experiences, if not in the same intensity, we have witnessed in some way or the other, but we witness in a very different way. We witness it in a way when these parents who may not know, as you said, that, where their kids are partying, whom they are partying with, but would bring them to us saying, isko theek kar do, iska dimag kharab ho gaya. We see that side of, of the whole game. And it's so humiliating for the child to have, to be brought in that way and to be said. And there have been all sorts of things that we hear during therapy. Anyway, I'll cut down to that. I'll just say what the parents should be doing here, because I think that's something very important. And I love to speak about that part. Here, see, when the kid is already 13, 14, at an age when they are becoming rebellious, we all know there is a lot of surge of hormones, emotions, everything. And, we are all carried off. And then there are all these fantasyful and very wonderful things like FOMO, YOLO, you only live once, and all these ideas which are being constantly propagated in the form of memes and social media posts. We just want to not miss out on anything, because that thing has been drilled within us that there is only one life. Go and party, go and enjoy. Right now, the whole thing is the parents suddenly wake up when the kid is already 13, 14 years. Hey Bhagwan, mere bacche ko kya ho gaya, with that thought. And then suddenly the child is dragged to the teachers, to the teachers, principals, even counselors like us. And that's not the time, because what they lack and what they don't understand is that the connection is very important. I always talk about 3 C's that every parent should have with their child. First and the foremost C is communication. You need to constantly communicate. I think that part was also been talked about when we were discussing the case of the crime in Delhi, that where the body was found in the fridge, that you never stop the communication with the child. And the communication does not have to be showing down the child. And believe me, Meeta, when I say this, I have seen so many parents in therapy that they start humiliating the child in front of me. And the child is looking here and there, and after 2 minutes, the child is like, bolte raho. That's the way you are losing respect. Right? So that is one thing. And of course, the dynamics are changing these days. The children are not ready to take in anything different or anything negative the way we used to from our parents. डांट भी पड़ रही है, हमें प्यार लगता था, अब वो time नहीं रहा. So you need to be more respectful for the children. If that is so, then let's, as they say, if you're in Rome, be like Roman. Right? So at least we can do that part. Second and very important thing is commitment. You need to show commitment towards your kids. I do understand work is very important. And during the pandemic, we have seen so many families breaking, so many families coming in therapy where the parents got busy and the kids were just handed over phones. And that was the time they felt that the kids have been out of their hands, because they are watching any kind of content on which you have no control over. Right? And the third and most important C that if you're a good parent, you must have is connection. And this is a little different from communication, because connection, I'm saying, is more emotional. And you need to maintain that trust. Right? So let's say, I'll give you an example. If my son or if my daughter comes to me and tells me something, Mama, please, aap ye papa ko mat batayega. And imagine that mother saying the same thing to the daddy in front of the girl. Pata hai, aaj isne na ye kiya hai. Batao, aisa karke aayi hai school. Do you think the child will have connection with you? Do you think she will come back to you again and tell you what she has done? So I believe that trust, and that is what I was trying to talk about when I called something, when I was saying trusted adult. It may not be parent. For me, if I can share my experience, my grandmother, my nanny has been my trusted adult. If I was infatuated by any boy, I would not share with my mom, because I know the connection was lacking somewhere. She has been a very good mom, but that connection where I could trust, where I know she's not going to judge me. Can we become that kind of parent? And it's a tough journey. Believe me, it's a tough journey. When that happens, the parents, when your child is saying something that he has done something wrong, you are like, just shaking with anger, but to still control it and put up a brave face and say, it's okay, I will handle it. Take a deep breath and see if you can respond in a different way. Because today, this response is going to be the deciding factor of whether if they are doing something bigger tomorrow, would they come and tell you this or not? So that has been my experience with this.
Totally agree with you. Can we take a quick question? Smita want to share? So I know there are many questions, but Smita, quickly, Rohit, unmute her.
Good evening, everyone. It's such a heavy session. I had to share a quick incident. Recently, one of my known people, there was a family where the child committed suicide. He was in 10th grade. And he was scared that, I don't know what the outcome of the result will be. So he hung himself in the hostel room itself. And one thing that struck me was, as parents, are we failing? Are we not able to see when the child is suffering? Because apparently both the parents were working professionals, right? So, I was having a discussion with my friend. I said, maybe we are homemakers and we are at home. So, we can make out, when my child is not normal, he's behaving weirdly, he's sad, he's depressed. But maybe for a person who's working, it may be actually very difficult. So are we failing as parents? That's my question number one. And two, are we normalizing a 12, 13-year-old seeking therapy and, praising that child that, he's going for therapy, which is a very good thing. If he needs help, he should go. But are we addressing the root cause? Why would he need therapy? Because as Dr. Aakanksha said, one of the parents was scolding the child in front of her. So that means there is something not right in the home environment, because of which, the child is like the way he is. And, what I have seen when teenagers or young adults share things with their parents and the parents guide them. And if their peers get to know of it, they just, take a step back. They say, oh God, this lady, this girl or this boy shares, everything with their parents. So cut him off. So that is the challenge that the children face. So I think over a period of time, before the maturity hits them, they might start, hiding things from you from the fear that they will be cut off from the group. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Whatever points you have said, Smita, is very, very relevant. I have seen where kids stop talking to another friend because the other kid goes and shares everything to his mom, and his mom will talk about, maybe unknowingly, maybe unintentionally, but she will go and talk to other parents, and then he feels that my faith trust is being broken by mom. So it's like, absolutely. So, Colonel Rohit, from your conversation, sorry, I could hear somebody. Yeah. So, Colonel Rohit, what we are figuring out that the problem. Who's Rohit? Can some noise is there? Rohit, can you mute it? Yeah. The problem, like it is coming down to parents. Knowingly and what we are directing. Yeah. It's like it's funny, or is it really sad?
Yes, I began my conversation with you all today saying yes, parents are the culprit. We're seeing our own conveniences, we are seeing our own things, and when it comes to our heads, then we are left with nothing but to fight with our spouses, saying, where people start saying, I have so much of responsibility, you're working, I'm working, this and that. And again, this is something that we're doing in front of the kids. So are we setting up the right example in front of our kids ever? See, no parenting is the right parenting. It's all hit and trial. Nobody can write a book on it saying, this was the best way to do it. Maybe the helicopter parent turns out to be well. Maybe the most liberal one comes out to over there. The only thing that I have understood working with the kids is kids have a self-defense mechanism. Number one, lying. Number two, manipulation. Kids are the biggest manipulators. I'm sure Doxa will agree to this, because that is part of their self-defense mechanism. We start teaching them, Johnny, yes, Papa. Eating sugar, the first thing is like, no, Papa. You're teaching him at the rhyme that's teaching him how to lie. And when he can say it, we're very happy about it. That's the irony, unfortunately. So children become manipulative when they see that there is a lack of communication between the parents. Children become manipulative when they go and tell their mother, ki maine ye kiya hai. See, I told you. But dad ko mat batana. You see, they're manipulating the parents. Then the second thing is, the parent have to be mature enough. The mother has to be mature enough. Or in case if the father is the confidant, the father has to be mature enough. Parents should exchange information with each other. But what needs to be brought out? That's where the parental maturity comes in. That is where we lack. The moment you lose your cool, the first thing you do is you start blurting out things which you're not supposed to blurt out because you're angry. Oh, your mom told me this, and I know you did this, and you went to that party without informing me, and this and that. So the mothers, the girls, they are not coming back to the mother, and now she knows कि okay, पहले मैंने इस mom को बताया था, तो my conscience was clear कि मैंने किसी को बताया था. Now, think of it, what would happen in case if the mother wouldn't have told the father? Let's talk about that scenario. In that scenario, there's a fight that happens and something like this comes out, and the child is just going to turn around and tell the father, Dad, but I told mom. Ab bachcha to bol ke nikal jayega, the parent can keep fighting for the rest of the day.
True, and sometimes it goes out of hand. Like in that case, like father was this slum case. Father was neutral because the mother was communicating with the daughter. And suddenly when things go out of hand, and then what is the point of hiding it from each other? Or it could work as a team.
See, there has to be maturity in parenting that needs to come in. You have to be quiet when you have to be quiet. You have to understand that the child is manipulating, and you have to make sure that you manipulate, that the child doesn't manipulate. You have to get the child back on track. You have to, till the time the child turns at least 18, you have to be on the guard. Like, I mean, I have two teenagers. The last time when I was doing TEDx in Bangalore, so once the talk was over, one of the audiences got up and said, sir, what has been the most difficult phase of your life? So he probably thought I'm going to say my operations and me killing and this and that and self-defense. I said, no, raising up two teenagers. Most
thing.
I guess we all will agree. Fighting on the LC was very simple. It was this. I mean, sometimes you just do not know. I mean, I don't have answers to everything, right? I don't think so. Any psychologist or anybody would have answers to this thing, because sometimes you're just left with nothing but to pull your hair out and you wonder, they have everything, right? And that is the time when this thing comes in. We didn't have anything. My father didn't give me. Now see, you got everything and all that. The dynamics have changed of the society. And once the dynamics have changed, so then, like I said, like mission fight back is a thing which is evolving. We never thought this is going to be just this. Similarly, parenting is also like that. You bring up a child, you're very happy with the child. I have 3 kids, Meeta, my third one is a 2-year-old. I'm very happy with him. I dread the day when he turns into a teenager. I'm just going to throw him in a boarding or an army school, and I'm going to go to Kedarnath and then come back after a couple of years. That is something I've already decided. So this is it. We don't have the exact answers to this. The only thing that we can do to prevent what can be prevented is keep talking to them. Don't always be a friend to them. Where the stick has to come in, the stick has to come in. I mean, don't quote me on beating of the kids. Colonel Rohit said that what I mean to say is as a metaphor. You have to have the right balance of being strict. You have to have the right balance of being a friend. I mean, you can't. There's this web series. I'm a big time series buff and a movie buff. So there is this. I think it's called Power. I started seeing it last week. It's on Prime, where these girls apparently, as a self-defense mechanism, they started having these electric currents in the body, so they can zap anybody. You must watch it, and they can transfer this power to anybody. This is something only amongst women, right? It's based on a book. So there, the mother who gets the power from the daughter to take the power, she says, "Hey, do you have any weed on you?" So she says, "Yes, mom," and the girl's a teenager. And then for the rest of the show, the mom and this 15-year-old girl and this mother, who apparently is a mayor of the town in the US, are smoking weed with each other, because every time the mother needs some information, she's smoking weed. Please do not be that kind of a friend to your kids.
Absolutely. So if one last closing of the session, if you have to, because we have crossed the time and the conversation never gets enough. It's like, it looks like we've just started. We are at the tip. So what is that one line you would like to say?
The moment your kids turn teenagers, leave for the next planet, come back when they're 21.
And when they are not safe, what will you do by the time?
Oh, they'll be very safe.
So you trust
that's just kidding. See, I think as not because I teach kids street survival, but I think every child should learn, boy or girl. Boys, it comes to bullying. Girls, it comes to this thing. Do not teach them karate, kung fu, and things like that. Teach them practical art which can save them. Give this, give this gift to your child. That spend some time with them. When we were training in Bangalore, parents came in hordes at the TCIS school in Bangalore, where they wanted us to train them along with the kids so that they could spend the Saturday and Sunday with them. That's an experiment we thought we'll try, but then of course COVID happened. But the parents came out and they said, we also want to get trained. So spend maximum time with your kids as much as you can. Give them what they want, but also give them your time, because more than the screen time, I think they need your time.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
These are not just theoretical things. I've realized it. Certain amount of discipline has to happen. The child has to get up at a certain time. The child has to do his or her shoe, no matter how affluent a family that you come from. If you start imbibing certain discipline into the kids, and I've seen some of the top schools of the country because I train them, the kids are so well behaved. I mean, before you can make them into a Tatas or a Birlas, I think they should be human first. So that if they are human, like when we had taken up a conscious decision, Meeta, you know about it, that we'll not train boys. Till the time we were approached by the Sherwood School in Nainital, where the principal he says, if you don't train these boys, how are they going to protect the girls? They have to be citizens of the country. And if you do not teach them how to be responsible citizens of the country, how are they going to help out the society? So we went and trained the entire school. So we have to, it's our duty also to make sure that, we train them those values that, in case if there is somebody, let the whole India be a bystander. You're not going to be a bystander who's going to be watching. In case if there is a victim, don't be a person who's further forwarding the stupid message to. Stop that message then and there. Cut it on WhatsApp. So that's social media thing, and all these things have to be brought back. Some portion of, the age-old parenting has to be brought in and fused with the new age parenting in case if we want to survive this.
Absolutely. Very rightly said. Let me hear from Dr. Aakanksha, the last. We have
I would like to answer Smitaji's questions because I think it was more directed towards therapy and I didn't want to interrupt the flow at that point. She asked two questions. One was, are we failing as parents? My answer very clear is no, we aren't. Because every generation of parent is very different. My mom's generation, they were the first times becoming parents and they have learned from the previous generation, right? So a lot of things were different. And even in this generation, we are facing, so I'm a mom of an alpha generation. I mean, it's called now, after Gen Z, it's Gen Alpha. My son is Gen Alpha. And believe me, they are at another level. At another level. I can't even relate to what he thinks and how he says, and he's just 4.5. So you were giving example of teenagers. I'm already wanting to run away from a 4-year-old at times, right? So that happens a lot, but I would still very strongly say that we are not failing, because as long as you are aware that you need to improve yourself as a parent or you need to learn something, I think that self-awareness is very important. And I really believe that all the parents who have taken out time and who are here and who are asking questions and giving their suggestions, I think we all are self-aware. So I think that's a very positive sign. And that lets me say very confidently that we are not failing. And secondly, you also asked a very crucial question about, are we normalizing therapy? I just want to take 2 minutes and give you an example of this college's principal, not naming which college and which principal. Her daughter was coming to therapy from, with me, and she was having a chat with me, and she said to me, do you know, आजकल ना fashion हो गया, मैं तो भेजना नहीं चाहती इसको therapy में, but ये बस fashion के लिए आ रही है. So I really don't think कि ये fashion है. You are also not normalizing therapy, so don't worry about it. But yes, the problem is that because of no connection, no communication, or lack of connection, lack of communication, lack of commitment towards the children, the problems that kids are facing is very high. And of course, social media, the digital age, and everything at a click of a button. And then we all know what are the consequences and the repercussions. They have just added on to these problems. And a child and an adolescent mind, we might think they are looking very big. They might dress up like Kareena Kapoor and walk on streets. They are still 10-year-olds. We know, even biologically speaking, the girls are getting their menstruation, at a very, very early age. So things are happening, but maybe physically we are developing a little early, but the mind is still of a 9-year-old, of a 10-year-old. They need guidance. And when the parents are not able to guide, and if the family dynamics are not conducive for guidance, they have to come in for therapy. So we are not normalizing it. To conclude, I think from my side, I would still emphasize on the whole idea of how the parents need to still take responsibility. There is a certain reason, in India, हम 18 साल के बाद ही बच्चों को बालिग कहते हैं, right? So मतलब 18 साल तक आप मानो ना मानो वो आपकी केयर में रहेंगे. You are the bird, they are your, that small choti chidiya, right? So you have to take care and you have to be like that, right? The way you are parenting is very different, and that will be very different for everybody. But my still concluding line would be that you have to take care of yourselves as a parent. Your own mind needs to be strong first. If you really want to create, or if you want to give a child with strong mind, a resilient mind, a psychologically, emotionally stable child, if you want to raise a responsible citizen, don't just keep preaching. Freud used to say, don't preach, don't do as I say, just do as I preach. But I will say, please do as you want, as you are preaching them. So if you are behaving in a certain way, if you are on phone these days, mothers are coming, I'm taking therapy, they are sitting outside for full 1 hour, the mother is on phone. While they are talking, they're like, okay, yes, walk the talk, While they are talking, they are just telling me, oh, just 1 minute, I've got a phone call. So I'm here, I'm waiting for 10 minutes. This woman is on call with a friend chatting about some dress that she wants to buy. So just imagine, if you're not valuing the other person's time, do you think your kids would value that? So I think it's very, very important that don't beat yourself too hard. There is no race. You don't have to be a very good mother. There is no medal that you get. Stop calling yourself super parents. I'm so sick and tired of that term, because to be a multitasker mother ban jao, super mother ban jao, it's nothing. Just focus on parenting with a clean intent and mindful attitude. Just be present and take each day as it comes. And I'm sure you are going to sail through it wonderfully. And please remember, adolescence is also a stage. Hum bhi nikle hain. Humne bhi bahut baar rebel kiya in our own respective ways. Right? So you need to also have that positivity and a positive attitude within you, that you will sail through it and you will see beautiful people coming out of your children.
Dr. Aakanksha and Colonel Rohit, the session again, I never cross 1 hour, and this session has gone to 5:13, and everybody has been there on this session, so we can understand what this is the need of the hour, and this is very, very, very relevant topic. And I hope to come back again with this topic, because again, I feel that whatever we have talked, it doesn't look like that we have just even started. So thank you, Dr. Aakanksha. Thank you, Colonel Rohit. We will see each other again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you.